Hi, I'm Phil and I'm a late diagnosed autistic older adult. And today I want to talk about something that's not often covered in autistic conversations: ticking. Most people associate tics with Tourette Syndrome, but some autistic people experience tics too, even without a Tourette's diagnosis. If you're an older adult like me, this can be confusing, even unsettling. So let's dive in. Tics are sudden involuntary movements or vocalisations. They can be physical, like blinking, shoulder jerks or head shakes, or vocal, like humming, throat clearing or blurting out words. Is this the same as stimming? Well, good question, I hear you ask. Thanks, I thought so. Stimming is common in autism. It's usually voluntary, like hand flapping, leg bouncing, finger tapping, repeating words, scrunching toes, rocking, humming, or even watching the same TV shows over and over. Stimming helps us self-regulate emotions or sensory overwhelm. Tics, on the other hand, are involuntary. We don't choose to do them, they just happen. They may look similar, but they may feel quite different. So what's the difference between tics in Tourette's and autism? Tourette syndrome is diagnosed when both motor and vocal tics have been present since before age 18 and have lasted at least a year. Many autistic people, especially those diagnosed later in life, don't meet those criteria. But you can experience tics without having Tourette syndrome. Tics can be triggered by a few things. Fatigue. When we get tired, our nervous system becomes less regulated. Sensory overload. Bright lights, loud noises, or even clothing like a tight collar. Stress in general results in a heightened arousal level, increasing tic activity. Likewise, anxiety can increase the level of stress hormones in the body. Social situations can lead to anxiety or even a fear of being stigmatised for our tics. Cognitive factors, such as frustration or embarrassment, can lead to an increase in tic activity. Changes in daily life, like work, holidays, or even birthdays, might cause more prevalent tics. Even thinking or talking about a tic or seeing someone else tic can trigger it. Okay, so what are my tics? The main one for me is like a sudden head shake. It's like something like that. This is the one that made me wonder whether I might have Tourette's long before my autism diagnosis, as it has been prevalent for a very long time. I find I can be triggered into this very easily by observing other people's head movements. And the other day I was sitting on the couch and Trish made a sudden head movement and I immediately followed with my head tic. Actually, and this is a bit more embarrassing, our new cat Shiloh has a very similar head jerk that he makes occasionally, and this can also trigger my tic to happen. I do also have a facial grimace that occurs frequently where I need to stretch and tense all the muscles of my face simultaneously. Similar to this is like an exaggerated blinking. Less frequent, but still quite prevalent for me, is a shoulder shake, which I know is a common tic for autistic people. This one is a bit like that feeling you might get from a cold chill. I particularly get triggered to do this when someone brushes very lightly past me unexpectedly. This is a sensory overload trigger. I am less prone to vocal tics, but they do also happen with noises like squeaks, hums, or grunts. These would be very much less noticeable to anyone else near me. I also often make long humming sounds, but I think I would class that more as a stim, as it is more controlled and serves a different purpose in that it is a calming action. So to the question of whether I have coprolalia and blurt out swear words or other inappropriate words or phrases, the answer is kind of in a small way. I blurt out the F-bomb quite frequently in out-of-context situations, but I'm not sure whether this is more a response to my internal thought processes than as a true coprolalia tic. By this I mean that my internal thought processes are often travelling at 100 miles per hour, and in that same moment, maybe because I am berating myself over something I might have said or done, I might blurt out without realising I'm going to say it. Often these thoughts are happening before I can process them, so that instant response also happens without processing. If I am in the presence of other people, I may be able to literally catch it as it leaves my mouth and at least try to swallow the words to make them less audible. I think this may be different from what a person with true coprolalia might experience, however. This does emphasise one key experience that many autistic people have. That is, because we know we are different, we very often find ourselves in a negative feedback loop of overanalyzing our every interaction with other people and thinking about what we might have said and how we might perceive that it did not go well. We find that often we don't even know how an interaction may have gone because our autistic brain just does not work the neurotypical way. This might also include interactions from long ago, maybe even years or decades ago. So can I control or suppress my tics? This is an interesting question, and the answer is kind of. Tics by their nature are involuntary, but like many things, it's not straightforward. I find that I can sometimes suppress a tic. I find that the tics, while being pretty instant, there is just a moment where I know the tic is about to happen. In that instant, I can sometimes, but not always, suppress it if I'm in the presence of other people. The catch is that it's like trying to suppress an itch, and the effort of trying to suppress the tic can make the urge even stronger, which may eventually lead to the tic happening anyway. I think this slight pause might give me the opportunity to turn my head or add another movement which hides or masks the tic. A study published in the Journal of Autism and Development found that approximately 20% of autistic adults reported current tics, while nearly 50% reported a history of tics. This would also indicate that the prevalence of tics in individuals can change over time. For some people, tics may be present in childhood and diminish later on, but for others, the presence of tics might develop over time, and the tics themselves may change over time also. Stress, anxiety, and life changes can all impact this ebb and flow of tics. For me, I know tics have been present for a long time, but I think I have only become more conscious of them in the last several years. I would also consider my experience with tics to be fairly mild, but for some other autistic people, they can have a significant effect on daily life, leading to a greater sense of social anxiety. And for those of us who also have ADHD, it has been reported that for some people, ADHD meds can actually make tics worse. So how would I describe my relationship with tics as part of my autistic traits? I've likely been masking my tics for most of my life, but now that I understand what they are, I'm more comfortable letting them be visible. This is part of who I am, and I'm okay with that. Conversely, if you experience tics and they are distressing or disruptive, it's completely okay to seek support. Likewise, if you believe you might be autistic but do not experience tics, this does not mean you are in any way not autistic or less autistic because of this difference. One final observation I want to make here is to do with imposter syndrome. There was a time I thought I was just copying what I saw. If someone ticked in a video, and I did it too, I'd ask, am I faking it? But I've since learned that's called suggestibility, and it's very real. It was actually researching this video that I discovered that seeing someone else tick or even just thinking about it can trigger it. This realization has given me a renewed confidence that I am not just making it up, and it is in fact real. And actually, if I think about it, I ticked long before I watched YouTube anyway. So here's what I want you to take away. Tics are real, they are valid, and they're more common in autism than most people realise. You can be autistic and have tics. You can be autistic and not have tics. Both are okay. Thanks for watching. If this video helped or resonated with you, give it a like. Also, leave a comment. Do you experience tics? And subscribe for more content about autism in adults. Or just shoot me an email at autisticolderadult@gmail.com. Thanks for watching. See you next time.